And we're live.
And
Welcome,
we're
everyone.
live. We were having the most interesting discussion off camera, and I was educating Saket a little bit around student loan forgiveness. So I have seen a couple people crop up on my Facebook, and their student loans have either been partially forgiven, fully forgiven. There's a wide range. Of course, just as a note, I do not know everything about the program. This does not apply to everyone. But I saw a man who said, my student loans were entirely forgiven. I can finally have my in ground swimming pool that I've always dreamed of. And Socket could not stop laughing.
Yeah, and I'm no judgment, right? I want to make sure when I was laughing because I was thinking about what would I have done
Yep.
uh, before I knew what I knew. I probably would have done the same thing. That's what so I was laughing at myself that I'm seeing the world being in the same light, right? So I think one of the things we were talking about is that, and I don't know much about student forgiveness loan myself, so we won't talk about that program because I'd like to talk about stuff that I have at least some intelligent understanding of. That program, I don't understand that well yet. But I think the concept we want to talk about today was more around what if you come to access some money which you were not planning for, right? It could be
Mhm.
inheritance, it could be the student loan forgiveness, it could be a lot of different things. So what do you do with it? And talk about, do you continue being in debt because you're used to having a monthly payment and you want to say that, hey, why do I remove it? Why don't I just add another debt on it? Because I'm already paying the monthly payment anyways, right? That's one
Mhm.
way. The other one is, I just inherited 100K, a million, two, it doesn't matter what you inherit. Let me just live my dream or whatever I wanted to dream for, and let me spend that money. Right?
Mhm.
Especially when things, and there's again no judgment here, but if you haven't worked hard or if you're not working hard for something that you received, sometimes it seems like it's a gamble jackpot money and you don't have the same attachment to it, same consideration for it. Worse, you may not, I shouldn't say a definitive statement. You may not have as much, you may not put that much importance on before you spend it because it was never yours to begin with, right?
It's like extra money
It's
or
like extra
free
money,
money or fun money.
fun money, exactly, right? I think that's really what I thought we could focus on that today because partially for the age group that I'm in right now, I'm almost going to be 50 in the next few years here. That a lot of my peers are they're going to see their parents pass away, right? And some are going to leave more than some are going to leave nothing. Doesn't matter. It's not about benefiting from them, but that's a question that everyone's asking either explicitly or implicitly, right? Some are articulating it more than the others. So it's an important
Mhm.
point of conversation. And then student loan forgiveness, where whenever since you've graduated, you've always had that payment. Not having that payment could seem like there's an arm being cut out of you because what am I going to do with all the money that I'm saving now, right? So I think that's what we should probably focus on. That. What are your thoughts on that, Brooke?
I think so too. And I love what you brought up around aging parents, because that is a really big thing. And when we think of aging parents, we think of life insurance. And I know
Correct.
you're really passionate about that in a different way.
Right.
Educate us.
Right. So I think before we go there,
Yeah.
let's talk about when you have access to money.
Yeah.
Um, what's your first thought? So let's say I'm going to make it up 50K in student
Okay.
forgiveness because that was the number we were talking about. So let's say if you had a 50K loan forgiven, or
Mhm.
if you inherited 50K, both are similar. One's more lump sum, one's more spread out, right?
Yeah.
What is your first reaction? And I'm not saying it's wrong or right. You want to reflect on that first reaction. Like the example we just talked about, let me buy my or build my first in-ground pool, right? That's
Yes.
that person because that person has always dreamt of it. They have always wanted it, right? And all of a sudden they see a path to get that, right? What I would
Yeah.
invite
For me,
you.
I'm like, let me run to a jewelry store.
Yeah, or for me, it's probably gonna be, I don't know, let me travel, right? It probably would have been, let me just buy something, some
Yeah.
real estate property, whatever. So everyone has a different path. I think what I would invite you to do is take a pause. Doesn't mean that you can't go buy the pool if that's what you wanted to get to, or buy car or Tesla or take a vacation, do whatever you want to do. No judgments on my end and Brooks' end. But what I
Mhm,
would recommend you is taking a pause and reflecting on why are you buying that thing that you're looking to buy,
mhm,
right? And there's a concept two concepts I want to talk about before we talk about how to leverage insurance products because they're very powerful if used properly. Is
mhm,
more around the difference between assets and liabilities, right? And that's a
mhm.
very, very, very important topic,
And I
which
don't
is,
think it's clear enough.
it's not, but I'll give you a definition, which is going to make it so simple
Okay.
that anything that pays you money to own it is an asset, period.
Mm,
It could pay you 2 cents. As long as if you're getting money to own it, it's an asset. If you're putting money out of your pocket, it's liability. So first
mhm.
get a clear clarity on what you have today. A student loan is a liability, right?
Right.
Is pool a liability?
Most likely.
It depends, right? It depends.
If you're renting out your pool, maybe not.
You may be charging people to use your pool, right? Could be. I don't know what you're doing with the pool,
I mean,
but
I go to a pool that people charge me for because it's indoors, so it is a real thing.
it is a real thing, right? So more than likely it's a
Yeah.
liability because you need to pay maintenance costs, you need to put water costs, you need to put cleaning costs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's more than likely it's a liability. Buying a Tesla, if you're not touring it, which is Airbnb for cars, if you're not
Mm,
renting the car out,
yeah.
chances are it's a liability, right?
Yeah.
Your own house, your jewelry, whatever you're buying, if it's not
Oh,
giving
no,
you,
you went there with the
yeah,
jewelry,
we did
everybody.
have to go there, right? Because I all of us are creatures of comfort, right? All
Yeah.
of us want luxury, all of us want comfort. So there's nothing wrong in that. But what I'm giving you the framework is don't call a liability an asset. Do not do that. A liability is a liability and an asset is an asset. So once you clearly demarcate that, then you're
Mhm,
saying, I still want to go get the pool. Perfect. Go get the pool. But what's going
mhm,
to happen is that I don't know if you know this concept of amygdala.
mhm,
Amygdala is a part of your brain which basically gets you into your reptilian behavior. It's back,
mhm.
right? You're basically your instinct. Your instinct is
Yeah.
to enjoy. Your instinct is to kill. Your instinct is to acquire. Your instinct
My
is to
instinct is when I see a sparkly, I purchase it.
there you go, right? So that's really where your amygdala is acting out because your reptilian behavior is all about self
Yeah.
and self indulgence, which is perfectly fine. Again, nothing wrong in that. But once you bring that framework in, what's going to happen is it's going to hijack your amygdala. It's going to give you that pause, the needed pause, and say that, you know what? I heard somewhere assets is something that puts money in your pocket, and liability is something that takes money out of your pocket.
Mhm.
Am I buying an asset or am I buying a liability?
Mhm.
And that pause is important because that pause is going to tell you that I need to look at it, right? And then of course the next logical question is going to be why does it matter, right? Why do we ask that question? Am I buying an asset or am I buying a liability? It's the concept that I would leave you guys with is you can live in the present or you can live in the present by borrowing from the future.
Mhm.
That's where
And
the
that's
concept
two
comes.
very different things. If I spend my entire life savings on jewelry, I'm gonna be flashy and decked out, and I'm gonna have nothing.
And you're going to live in the present but by borrowing from the future.
And I'm
If
gonna
you're
lose all the
living
stones anyways.
Yeah, there you go, right? And I'm not saying you may not be able to sell it for more money. You can.
Yeah.
Maybe when people buy expensive watches, right? Rolexes never lose value. People
Mhm.
buy for 10K, they sell it for 15K,
Mhm.
right? They buy Ford trucks. So I'm not saying you won't make money when you sell it. What I'm saying is that today is not paying you money to hold it.
Correct.
So I'm shifting the definition of that because you don't care what's going to be the value of your jewelry 20 years from today because you may not live till 20, you may not know this 20, what's going to happen.
Right.
The stone may lose its value. Who knows? A lot could
Mhm.
happen in 20 years. But what you can do today is if you're getting $200 extra of income
Mhm.
from something that you purchase, that can set you on a path to freedom, right?
Correct.
That's really the concept of, are you living in the present because of the resources you have, or you're living in the present because you're borrowing from the future? And
Mhm.
assets, make sure you live in present because it's feeding you money every single day, every single month, every single whatever the periodicity is, mostly monthly, right? That's a good way to look at it. Then you have to think of, now that I have an asset, the extra $200 that
Yeah.
I'm getting, or $100 or $50, whatever that is, that's free money. Now that's free money,
Mhm.
right? Before, money was not free, but because money before, the $1 million or 50K or 100K that you had, either because of a loan forgiveness or because of inheritance, it could be multiple things. That is the money that was never yours, and it's not consistently giving you money. What happens when you buy an asset? And let's talk about an asset as a real estate,
Mhm.
or dividend paying stocks. These are all assets in the true definition of an asset. So it gives you money every week, every month, every quarter, depending upon the periodicity of the asset. And now you can figure out, okay, I'm getting this extra $200 that I didn't have before. What can
Mhm.
I do with it? You can splurge because now you are living in the present because of what you have in present.
Although it's addicting, you may want to reinvest, which is another concept.
More than likely, you can continue saying, I have extra $200. What
Yeah.
other stock can I buy that's giving me more dividend? You may, right? And then, of course, at some point, there's a fine line that you don't want to go crazy on future and don't live present at all. You don't want to do that either, right? There's a
Extremes are
fine
not
balance.
good. Either extreme
Yeah.
is not
Either
ideal.
extreme is
You
not
want to
good.
be somewhere in the middle.
And everyone's going to be at a different spectrum.
Yes.
Everyone's, your normal is going to be different than my normal, than somebody else's normal, right? What their normal is. So what you want to say is that, okay, the first question is, do I am I buying an asset or a liability, right? And the reason for that is, am I making my future better without sacrificing the present? Or am I living in the present only without caring about the future? And your actions will tell you, not about the words you use, is going to be the actions, because you and I and everyone else, we could tell ourselves rational lies, right? We could rationalize everything. So what we want to do is that, okay, we're saving for the future, then why are we buying a pool?
Right.
Is the pool giving us that freedom? And maybe you have a lot of resources already, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know the situation. That's why it's situation very subjective. Maybe you have assets that are already giving you, and it's truly a free money. If it is, go splurge it. Perfectly fine, right? But if you're saying that I just have always paid debt every month, and now that I'm not paying for student loan, I still want to. Why should I stop paying loans? Let me get one more loan, right? Now you're buying an asset. I'm not
And that
buying.
goes back to people being comfortable. People are comfortable with what they know.
Correct, right? And there's so many ways to look at different ways, vehicles to invest. Even if you have $200 a month, right? Even if you have 150 a month. So when you start thinking about more, because most people's question is going to be, well, Saket, I don't understand where to put. What can $200 a month give me? Nothing, right? Because I can see people's thought that $200 is nothing. I can't buy a stock. I can't buy a real estate. I can't do anything with $200. So what? So all of this makes sense if you have millions of dollars that you are coming access to. It's not necessarily true, right? It's a limited belief that nothing can happen. And I'll give you an example of that. We kind of gave away the answer a little bit, as in, if you look at life insurance as a product, but
Mhm.
life insurance is a product to build future wealth, not to leave the wealth with once you're gone. Two different ways, right?
Right.
Two completely different way of looking at the life insurance. That, hey, I want to maximize that death benefit, so whoever I leave behind, kids or a spouse or friends or family, whatever, a charity, that you want to maximize it for them. Again, a great cause, great noble cause. But the question you have to ask yourself is, well, you're making their lives better. What about your life? Right?
Mhm.
And again, extreme is never good, as Brooke said. You have to find a middle ground. The middle ground is that, can you optimize this product to give you current access to capital in your lifetime, and yet optimize it such that your death, you're leaving behind some.
Mhm.
Like somebody told me a long time ago that you can't help anyone without helping yourself first.
I couldn't agree with that more.
The airline example, where you're sitting in the plane, the
Yeah.
oxygen mask, put your mask first before helping others. Same exact way
Mhm.
here. Make your present better and then worry about your kids' present,
Can
kids'
you
future.
give us an example of what it looks like to use it in that way? It can be
Sure.
fictional or real, illustrated however.
Yeah, I think let's break down an insurance policy, and we're going to talk about my favorite policy, which is whole life insurance,
Okay.
right? And I'm pretty sure you're going to start googling the moment you hear the term the whole life insurance, and you're going to find Dave Ramsey who hates the whole life insurance.
Yeah, so
So
follow along with us, do a little bit of Googling. We love a good devil's advocating.
definitely. So what I would say is that what I'm going to say, listen with an open mind. I'm not saying Dave is wrong. Dave Ramsey is a great guy. He wants Americans to be out of debt. So I love his passion. But this one aspect, I slightly disagree with him. So let me explain my reasoning. So whole life insurance has two components. It has a cash value component and a death benefit component.
Mhm.
Traditionally, when we're talking about life insurance policies, we're talking about the question that agents ask is how much death benefit do you want, Saket?
Mhm.
I want 10 million, I want 1 million, I want five, whatever that number is, right?
Right.
The question that's being asked is how much death benefit do you want? And then you back into a premium, then you go back and forth. I can't afford that premium, whatever, right? You go back and forth. But instead, what if we flip that? How fast do you want to access the money you're putting in your life insurance policy?
Mhm.
Flip the entire question, right?
And I've never heard it framed that way.
You're saying that I'm putting $200
Mhm.
or $100 a month. How soon, Brooke, do you want access to that money? A traditional whole life insurance policy takes 15 years for you to break even your money. So if you're putting in 100K, it'll take you 15 years. Doesn't matter what frequency you're putting in. You may
Right.
say 10K a month, 5K a year, whatever you put in. It takes you
Mhm.
about 15 to 20 years to break even, right? So if your answer to the question is, well, I want to put my money in, I want all of it or most of it accessible day one. Well, whole life policy doesn't work
Mhm.
the way it's designed before. But there is a way you can optimize your cash value. Where you're saying is that I want to put $100 today in next within next let's say 30 days. Next 30 days,
Mhm.
I want to access 80 to 90% of that,
Mhm.
right? You can design a policy like that where your
Mm.
break even is 3 to 5 years. It's
Mhm.
not immediate, right? If you're putting in $100, you won't be able to get the entire $100 out, but you're going
Correct.
to be able to get $80 out, right?
Mhm.
You're going to take $70 out, whatever that amount is. Different ways
And
to
what's
design
the
policy.
percentage return on that? Just out of curiosity.
So percentage returns is somewhere between 3 and 5%,
Mhm.
right? But now think about this. Tesla is giving you want to buy Tesla, or you want to
Right.
buy Tesla is a right example because he just brought down the APR at 1%. It's crazy, right? But then it's going to go up again. But let's say you want to buy a
Yeah.
traditional car and you're in the market for a loan, right?
Right.
Or you want to buy a pool and you want to finance it, whatever you want to do. You're basically saying is that you can borrow from this policy and
Mhm.
go buy another asset, right? So let's say you were going to say, I'm going to buy a vending machine. I'm using a very simple example.
Mhm.
I want to buy this vending machine, and my lease payment for the vending machine is $50 a month. You saved $100 a month from not paying your loan, right?
Right.
You put that $100 into this life insurance policy, where you're maximizing the cash. You take the $50 loan from the life insurance policy, and you go pay for your vending machine, which is probably going to give you $80 to $90 a month.
Mhm.
Put in 50, you made 90. So that
Yeah.
$40 difference that you made, you go pay your loan back, and you
Right.
still
So
have
it's
that
like a reservoir of cash, essentially.
reservoir of cash. You're basically building your warehouse of cash, right? And even though you have taken the loan out, the cash value is still growing at 3 to 5%,
Right.
right? So now
Right.
you're buying two assets. You're buying a life insurance
Mhm.
policy that's growing at 3%, 3 to 5%, and you're taking a loan, and the return on the money that you're taking the loan on is growing faster than you're taking the loan at. You took the
So
loan
it's
at,
essentially a way to hack.
it's called arbitrage. The technical term is called arbitraging, which is what banks
Yeah.
do, right? When you put your money in the bank, they're paying you at 0.25%, 2%, right now 4%, 5%, but they're giving you Brook and Saket a loan at 8%, 10%, 12%. You're
Mhm.
basically replicating a bank. You're becoming a
Mm.
bank where
Your
you
own bank, essentially.
own bank. You're putting the money in
Yeah.
and you're taking it out at a much lesser interest rate, and you're deploying it in an asset which is giving you much more, right?
Right.
Now, people could say that again. One could say that I only have $100 a month.
Mhm.
It's okay.
Right.
If it works for a million, it works for 100. Doesn't matter. The
Mhm.
amount of money coming in doesn't matter. It's the how fast can you access that money that's more important,
Mhm.
right? And now what
Mhm.
you're saying is my student loan was forgiven. This individual that we were talking about,
Yeah.
that's a perfect thing now. Okay, your student loan is forgiven. Great. Well, let's get you into a life insurance policy
Mhm.
that gives you access to your loan payment on day one.
Mhm.
Right? You can still continue paying.
Yeah.
And now once you have enough reservoir there, you can take a loan out and go build a pool if that's what you want. Chances are,
Right.
once you see your money grow, you're gonna say,
You're gonna have a completely different priority.
I'm
Why do you think
okay
this is
going to a community
commonly
pool.
taught?
I'm going to a community pool. I'm okay paying $30 a month. I don't care. Hell, I'm gonna pay $100 a month and go to a very nice pool. I don't want to go to community pool, but that's okay. I don't have to pay maintenance, right? But
Right.
my money is growing faster in the
Yeah.
insurance policy now, and that's true for real estate. If you let's say you acquired $1 million into a life insurance policy through inheritance, what do you do with $1 million? That's a question, right?
Mhm.
Well, you basically work with someone like me who can help you structure a life insurance policy where you
Right.
get access to almost $900,000 on day 20.
Mhm.
Park
And
your
that's
money
a
there.
really rare thing to have access to. Why do you think people don't teach this, or why do you think it's such a hidden secret?
It's actually I, I was completely against life insurance policies. Probably full transparency up until about a year ago because I
Oh,
didn't
he's had a shift. This is the power of being flexible in your thinking. Be very malleable. Always
completely
stay open-minded.
definitely right. When somebody asked me, should we buy life insurance? I'm like, no, just buy the term and invest the difference because I took the recipe from Dave Ramsey and I didn't follow my own advice, which is don't just listen to people, research your own thing, right?
Mhm.
Recently, probably about 7 months, 8 months ago, somebody asked me the question, "Hey, uh, I just encountered $1.2 million. Right? It was not
And you're like, "Oh
inheritance
my goodness."
because they sold something. They're like, you know what? I have this $1.2 million cash. Saket, you're a smart guy. What do you think I should do?" I'm like, look, I
Mhm.
don't know the answer. Honestly, I don't know the answer. Let me research into it a little bit more before I come back to you and answer. And I actually, when I learn more when I'm telling people what to do. So I'm like, okay, let me go deeper. And what I
Okay.
understood is that life insurance policies have a role, but I didn't trust somebody else. I didn't trust
Mhm.
somebody else telling me what to do because I couldn't say, hey, Brooke said it, go do it. I'm like,
Right.
I'm actually going to go become an insurance agent.
Look
Uh,
out. Love the commitment, everyone.
yeah, I'm like, I'm going to become an insurance agent and I'm going to get access to all the tools that an agent has.
Okay.
And I'm going to understand this business to figure out if Dave Ramsey is right or wrong, right?
Mhm.
Because I need to look at for myself. And I can't, even if you're an insurance agent, I talk to you, I don't know what your motivation is. I have no idea, right?
Correct.
You may be telling me because you're making more commission or who knows. So I'm like, okay, I need to understand it from a very, very objective perspective of what it works. And the moment I learned it, I realized why are people not telling it? And I'll tell you why. So let's use $1 million as an example.
Okay.
If you had $1 million and I were to put you in a life insurance policy, a
Mhm.
traditional policy would make me as an agent about $800,000,
Wow.
right? But the way I'm telling you to structure your policy,
Uh-huh.
is going to make an insurance agent $20,000.
Okay.
So what am I motivated?
So there's a huge difference there.
So if I'm an insurance agent and
Yeah.
this is my life depends on this money because that's the only earning I have,
Right.
what am I going to sell?
You're going to sell the higher ticket offer. It is human nature.
$800,000, right? Even no matter how good and they're not selling a wrong product.
Right.
They're not saying it's wrong product. It's the question you asked was very different because question is how much death benefit can I afford? Well, like you
Mhm.
can afford this much death benefit, right? They're giving you a product that you asked for. That's why the question you ask is very important, is that if you asked a question, how fast can I access my $1,000,000? Their policy is going to fall flat. Because if you
Right.
put in and I have the designs that I've done it because I've done extensive amount of research on this because I'm building policy. I've used all the company products. I've used Guardian, I've used Mass Mutual, I've used Penn Mutual. I'm designing these products to understand which company offers you what, right? Because when somebody asks me a question, where should I put my $1.2 million? The question now that I'm going to ask them is, what are you trying to optimize for? Are you
Mhm.
trying to optimize for death benefit or you want access to money right away? If the answer is death benefit, it's a different path. If the answer is I want to maximize my cash value, it's a different path. And more than likely, most people are going to say, I want access to more money right away because I can
Mhm.
make that money grow faster
Right.
than an insurance company will, right? That's the concept. So, cut short, that's why, in a very short way, to long winded answer, but directly responding to your question, is most insurance agents won't tell you. It's not a secret, but they don't want to tell you is because they're motivated differently, right?
Right.
So if you want to take away some things from this conversation is that it's important the question you ask yourself,
Mhm. And to be honest with yourself.
to be honest, and then it's very very important the question you ask with somebody else, right? So question that we say is that if the question you ask is what would my life look like if I don't have pool, we'll use pool as an example.
Mhm.
Very different question, right? Because now you're saying the scarcity mindset is I don't have pool.
And I want it
That's
because I want it.
because I want it, right? Because you're asking yourself a leading question. The answer to that question is go get a pool.
Yeah.
But if you now ask a question is that I have this extra $200 a month,
Yeah.
can I make that money grow so that my future can become a little bit better
And I can have an even bigger pool.
and I can have a bigger pool? Completely. You're not saying pool is not important to you. Is do you get it today versus do you build it such a way that you get access to it in the future and a better and a bigger and a lot of other things that'll come with it. That's one question to ask yourself, right? And the question you're asking someone like me is not about how much death benefit I can get,
Mhm.
but how fast can I access my money?
Mhm.
Because it's important. The guy that asked me that question, he's a client of mine. He said, where do I put that $1.2 million money so it grows faster?
Mhm.
He didn't ask me, what can I buy at $20 million death benefit? Right?
Mhm.
It's because he asked a specific question in a way he asked. I got triggered to do more research into finding a right way of using his money.
Right.
He's since bought that policy and is very happy. He's basically taken that money out, and the policies the way we design it, the interest rate is like 4.7%, right?
Okay.
If that product works for you, he's taken that 4.7% and he's taken a loan on that, and
Yeah.
he's making 20% outside,
Love that.
right? Now he's capable of that. Not everyone is. He's capable of doing that. He's leveraging it and he's
Yeah.
growing that money even faster. Now he's building his own bank. He's paying that loan off and he's continuing to repeat it, right?
Mhm.
So it's possible and no money is small money.
Mm-mm.
Even if you have $50, even if
No.
you have $5. Now
And
at
that's a
some point,
conversation for another day,
correct.
respecting all money, all amounts.
All amount.
It's
Even if
vital.
you have a cent, it's
Mhm.
an important cent, right?
Yes, it is.
It's an important cent because that's how it grows, right? If you can't put importance on a cent, you're not going to put importance on 100K. Period.
No.
right? Because that
No,
100%
we're going to have to do that next week. How do we respect and honor our money? Because it's been a big exercise for me, and we should dive into it next
we
week.
should definitely do that. So I think I'll leave the audience with one thing is that if you come across money that
Mhm.
was not yours to begin with, and I look at loan forgiveness as that because you were expecting it to be gone anyways, right? It's a new 50K that you found versus inheritance and all that stuff. Use these vehicles, explore these vehicles. Don't ignore them because you heard somebody on the internet saying they're not right for you. Also,
Mhm.
don't embrace them because somebody on the internet said it's right for you, right? Because you are listening to me on internet. So I could be another Dave Ramsey, which and I have my own motivations. You don't know that, right? But explore it. Talk to someone like that and say that, you said something like this could work. Can you show me how it works?
Mhm.
Right? And I'll show you what I know. Then you can take a look at it and say, you know what? I don't like it. Perfect. Now you know you don't like it. Before you didn't even know you don't like it.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I would invite. The link is there. This QR code. Just get on the calendar.
Yeah.
Again, I can't do that many of them. So take 4 to 5. We do 4 to 5 a week, and the calendar is filling up quick. So do whatever you can. If this conversation has been helpful and it intrigued
Mhm.
you to figure out what is Saket talking about, get on a call.
And you can speak with them about this, correct?
Definitely more than open. Again, anything that we're sharing on these calls, these conversations, is because I want to push the message out that life insurance is not bad. It's
Yeah.
bad if it's sold incorrectly.
Hmm.
So you have
So
to
go
sell it
get
correctly.
curious, have a play with it. If this sounds fun and you want to be your own bank, because that sounds like the sort of life that you want to have, hop on his calendar, see if it would work for you.
We'll love that. Well, thank you again, Brooke. Appreciate the conversation.
Hey, I feel like I learned a lot. I hope a lot of people did too. If you learned, you have a question, you want to play devil's advocate, anything like that, hop in the comments, share your thoughts, feelings, all that stuff. We want to read it.
We do. Thank you again.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. See you next week.